Hello gamers around the world, I'm Spurkus. Welcome back to yet another special episode of Game Breaking News. Today we're going to have a closer look at the PC press conference at E3 2017. PC press conference. Since its first time, it's been the press conference every year that has, some little and big surprises that were not necessarily tied to one of the consoles or greedy EA or Ubisoft. This is the kind of press conference where you get some hope. And well, the PC press conference, I wouldn't like to say that it disappointed because there wasn't really that much of an expectation to it in the first place, but then again, it wasn't disappointment. So this time they started off the show with what else? An extension for XCOM 2, this time called War of the Chosen, which will be already available on the 24th of August this year. But actually this DLC sounds and looks really interesting. We get new boss type of enemies who also evolve and level up just like the player does, and they also get stronger over time and whatnot. There are also new resistance groups next to XCOM that you want to make friends with and then hire some of their soldiers to your team. So yeah, these guys are actually one of the best soldiers ever made in an XCOM game. There will be also new weapon types, new soldier types, and also the Lost. So the Lost are the first humans to be affected by the invasion 20 years ago, and they are drawn by combat sounds. So if you're fighting in one of the major cities, you can encounter them, and they will basically swarm the map. They always come as a swarm. What's interesting is that they also are going to fight aliens, and you, of course. So you probably have to kind of avoid them or also use them as bait or fighting the aliens, and then you have to run away from them because there are too many of them, which sounds like an interesting concept. Afterwards, they showed Blitz, which is some weird Pokemon type of game, but it also has some Harvest Moon elements and also Sims, and you're also doing some adventures. I mean, what the fuck is going on in this game? I have no idea, and honestly, I kind of don't want to. Let's move on. Afterwards, we get a presentation of Battletech, a turn-based mech combat strategy game, which will feature single-player battles, multiplayer battles, and also an open-ended campaign. And they also showed off what they mean with that. So you're going to have the Argo, which is basically your home base, and there you can upgrade and repair your mechs and whatnot else. But you can also select your missions, which you can find across the whole galaxy, and there will be different types of missions, random missions, but also campaign missions in which you will complete then the story. And afterwards, you can still keep playing it if you want to. They also showed off some gameplay of the actual battles that you're fighting, which they already showed off a couple of times. Nothing really new in here, and it's a tactical strategy, mech-based and turn-based game, so what is there to expect, honestly? Moving on to Mount & Blade Bannerlord 2, and for me this was the highlight of the show. I am waiting for this game for years now. I'm a huge fan of Mount & Blade Warband, and I just can't wait for the sequel to come out. And to be honest, I was starting to get worried because we did not really get much information the last couple of months, but the gameplay they showed is really promising. The game looks much better and the graphics are basically presentable now. And how you're fighting and how you're ordering your troops around, it looks really fun and great, much better than before. Now, if you haven't played Mount & Blade Warband before, it's actually quite simple. The game is much better than it looks. And Mount & Blade Bannerlords 2, now it looks better than ever before. I cannot wait for it. Unfortunately, we still don't have a release date. Unbelievable. Moving on to Total War Warhammer 2, which will be available on the 28th of September this year, and will feature 4 new factions. This was basically the whole announcement on stage, really, that was it. Well, actually at first I was pretty pissed that they announced a new game for the Warhammer series so early, but I now understand the logic behind this. The Total War Warhammer trilogy is more like the Kill Bill movies the movie by Quentin Tarantino. This is basically one movie, but it still has Volume 1 and Volume 2. And this is basically how they do it with Warhammer. It has 3 games, but no extra expansion. It is basically a evolving game over 3 parts that you can buy individually, but you can also buy them together to get some mega campaign. And afterwards, we waste time announcing an expansion for Shadowverse, some Hearthstone type copy game, or is it the other way around? I don't care. whatever. Out comes Intel's Doug Fisher to talk about the future in gaming. And I said to myself, yes, now we're talking. And then he also mentioned VR, and so I thought to myself, yes, now we're talking. But in the end, it was just a 12 minutes presentation of jerking off to Intel. How great Intel is and their products is, and Intel, fuck you. It was briefly interrupted by Destiny 2 gibberish and some talk about some esports Grand Slam tournament with yet another 1 million prize at the end. And seriously, literally nobody got excited about those news. I guess most of the audience went to sleep because they turned back to jerking off to how great Intel is. Alright, so after a quick nap, I woke up to a gameplay presentation of Tunic, formerly known as Secret Legend. And honestly, the game looks like a really fun and interesting indie game with a great art style, mixing it with Dark Souls combat. Interesting, really. Finally, after announcing it twice already in this event, we finally got to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And the great announcement was, well, nothing really. The game is still in early access, so it gets updated. That's it. Now we have vaulting, which is apparently amazing, and also weather, which is great, I guess. They briefly talked about also the future of the game, the further down the line, and that they want to include modding, and also 2 maps are coming, including desert and snow, and that they want to make the game more stable. Well, obviously, it's an early access game. But that was it. There was nothing there that was really big, but that was the big thing of the show. Honestly, it was kind of embarrassing. Afterwards, they were talking about Killing Floor, and after a brief look at the VR game, Killing Floor Incursion, they showed off the summer sideshow for Killing Floor 2. And this is actually an interesting concept. So in August, for 1 month, they will update this for free, and then you can play this crazy, really fucked up thing that they show up here. I mean, seriously, this is so crazy and fucked up, it's just... I have no words. And then this is somehow gone. And they also want to make some weekly updates, but then it is gone. But I don't really buy it. I think that this summer sideshow will be available for 1 month, and then it will be gone. Yes, sure. But after a while, it will return because I don't think that they will make all this expansion and then just make it go away again. Just no. No. Then they started to talk about Forza Motorsport 7 and Sea of Thieves, which makes me ask again, why should I buy a Xbox One X? Tech enthusiasts like me, who like to spend their money on hardware to get some great gameplay and the best graphics, well, in generally, those guys already have a PC that is more capable than the Xbox One X. And if all the games on Xbox are also available on PC, why the fuck should I buy an Xbox? Correct, I don't. And the ones that can't or don't want to afford a high-end PC, well, they either don't have a 4K TV, or they will just look at the cheaper Xboxes. It's, I don't know. Followed by yet another game from the Xbox media brief, The Last Night, which has honestly some really beautiful art design, and they now talked about the story that is going on there. So we're playing in the future, and computers and the AI has surpassed humans in literally every way. Robots are doing everything, not only in producing goods, but also creativity, like painting or making YouTube videos, because, well, obviously this is the same thing. So humans are now only consumers and not creators anymore. They do not do anything, they only consume. This puts a really interesting perspective on things and begs the question, well, this seems to be like an inevitable thing, but what do you do then as a human? Really interesting, and I think I'm going to play this game. Next game was Islands. Bohemia Interactive's try to jump on, well, I would say the Minecraft train, but also the Samperks survival train, because this is what the game is. You have shooting, looting, crafting, whatever. You can do apparently everything in this game. You can create your own missions, but you still have to loot, you can build, and it's multiplayer yet single player, and who knows. It's totally weird. It's also a low poly game to run probably also at some point in mobile games. That's the goal, I guess. But then again, seriously, it's a Bohemia Interactive game, so in the end it's probably going to have a ton of bugs and won't work properly anyways. To be honest, I don't really have that much hopes on Islands. Followed by the next big announcement that the PC press conference announced beforehand, a new game by Clay Entertainment. It was Grist Lands, which is a sci-fi RPG that will be available in early 2018, but the game looks actually pretty generic, and to me it was nothing special, to be honest. Followed by Lone Echo, a VR game where you play a robot that is working on the asteroid ring of Saturn. To be honest, this seems like a great game for VR because you are floating in 0G. So all your moving and all that you're doing is done with your hands. So it looked really promising and a great way to move around without getting motion sickness, I would say. They also showed off the multiplayer part of the game, which is Echo Arena. And honestly, this reminded me of Blitzball, the minigame in Final Fantasy X. It looks really fun, and I think it is possible that a real esports community might form around this game, truly. Well, alright, followed by Lawbreakers, a fast-paced multiplayer online shooter coming out on the 8th of August for $30. Followed by Wargrove, a game by the developers of Stardew Valley and Starbound. So Wargrove is some sort of a turn-based game of some sort, where you can create your own levels and missions, but to be honest, the whole presentation wasn't really informative or interesting or appealing. It was just meh. Followed by their third big announcement of the PC press conference, more news about Lord of the Rings Shadow of War. And what did we get? Well, just a new trailer about some bitch that is trying to help you out, but then again wants to kill you because you have a ring of power. In the end, they barely showed anything about the game. Man, those 3 announcements, all nothing. Seriously. Embarrassing for everybody who created this show. Seriously. And then came the big finale. They announced Age of Empires. Oh yes, 20 years later, it comes as the definitive edition. So instead of making little graphical improvements to the old game, they actually built Age of Empires from the ground up and let it shine in new 4K graphics. Honestly, to me it didn't look that good, but okay, it's still in development, so let's see how it will look in the end. And personally, still, next to Mountain Blade 2, this was the second best thing they showed at this PC press conference here. And I mean, best in the sense that it surprised me and also got me excited. So, that was it for the PC Gamer press conference. Unlike EA's, Bethesda's and Microsoft's conference, we had more indie games, or indie type games, so it didn't feel that much like we are stagnating in gaming, you know, running in circles and playing the same game over and over again that also gets recycled over and over again. But still, the bang wasn't there. But then again, as I said, a bang isn't really expected by the PC press conference. It kind of disappointed because they claimed those big announcements and they extra spent some time to announce some announcements, yet in the end, they were nothing. Anyways, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Put your thoughts in the PC Gamer press conference in the comments section down below. Press that like button as well and subscribe for more awesome videos. I will see you at my other videos on E3 2017, which you can find also in the description. I will see you there.